What's up, guys? Jordan from Bennett's Customs. A little bit different today. I'm in the Great White North, back home in Canada. And I'm actually heading out to Carl's place. For those who don't know Carl from Make It Custom, I'm sure a lot of you guys know who he is. He's also a very good friend of mine who I've known for a long time. And yeah, I'm super excited to see him. It's been definitely a long time since I've been home due to COVID and everything. I'm sure we all can relate. But yeah, I'm super excited to go and see him and catch up, see the new workshop who I haven't seen yet, and see Christina, his partner, and the dogs. And then, yeah, we might even get stuck into doing something today. I actually dragged that grill home, as you guys have seen. So I put it in the surfboard bag and it traveled across the pond. So yeah, maybe we might get stuck into it today and start, you know, fabricating a few of the sides up and, you know, using his new planishing hammer that he's got available to purchase. So that'll be kind of fun to trial that before being able to bring one home. But yeah, stay tuned.
What is the plan?
All right, so what I did before coming here is there are some measurements. They're all in metric. Got this I brought from Dad's place. Happens to be the only tape measure that's got inches.
This is our translator.
And
this is our translator right here.
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
that's our translator.
So you need to move that like a half an inch, and then
I'll
12
tell you what it is. Yeah. Basically, cool. I'm useless with inches and stuff now. But yeah, so I made these templates. So that is the front of that's the front of the frame.
Yeah.
That's our cowl. So we'll get to that at a later date because I have some ideas I want to do for the hood and cowl sides.
Right. And
maybe some louvers and some stuff with aluminum. But this is basically how it's going to sit. Something like that. So
like just off the front is where that's going to land?
Yeah. And needs to kind of follow the contour of the front of the frame.
Gotcha.
So essentially we need to make two sail panels that kind of come up and obviously have a lot of shrinking to try and form into this. So whether or not we keep this body line, because I'm actually not sure if we'll be able to, or if we just cut it out and basically cut straight down here and we just remake this whole piece so that it runs vertical straight down, and this is actually cut to the rake of where the grill I want it. So if we ran a level from there to here, that's like obviously the lean that I want the front of the car to have.
Is this gonna be straight like original lean? Because like when you tip it up like this, then it kind of does that.
Yeah, so this kind of comes down, so it's more like
we're gonna call this.
Yeah, we're gonna call that dead straight or off this. It kind of doesn't matter, but
well, if you call this, then it's behind, right?
Yeah. So could kind of go whatever way.
Okay.
I think this is what I had off straight. So that basically off a level, like plumb to here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rake that we want. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of like hammer and dolly this down just a little bit to make it a bit more flatter. And then I'll do the felt or the lacing.
Cool.
So what we need, basically what I want to try to achieve is to keep this grill going around here so that it follows the frame somehow.
Are you dead set on it like smoothly following the contour of the frame, or is it okay to just end up?
It just has to end up at
the width
of the frame.
So we could get funky.
Oh, for sure.
We could get funky in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to, I don't know. Whatever's kind of relatively simple, although it's still very complex, but just trying to come up with something.
How do you feel about starting with like making a base plate and tacking this in place and starting with like a wire frame?
Yeah.
To start our patterns and stuff?
I think
at least we get a visual, you know?
Yeah.
Put some paper on there. And
bit of paper, little wire buck, just a real simple one. And then we kind of know what it's going to look like.
Okay.
Because it might look like shit. I mean, the grill's so cool because it's so narrow and tight. But
yeah, that's what I mean. Is like if you lose the body line and if you go right outside with the frame, like maybe it's getting a little bit.
It might not be so nice and narrow anymore. It might be too fat on the sides, but
because I do like that this like
comes right off. I totally agree. I mean, ultimately, it would be cool to run this body line straight down.
I think
and then have from that body line it bumps out, so it's kind of like a grill within the body. Dude, you know what I mean? Like almost look, that would make it look totally factory.
In my head, I feel like that's like worth the effort. I feel like we could for sure get that body line in there. Like we could make this bubble piece, and the last thing we'll do is like bead roll that body line in it and make that flange.
Yeah,
I think it's doable for sure.
I mean, it would be so cool to have the profile of this just basically come right off this edge.
Yeah.
That just falls straight down to basically the edge of that.
Yeah.
And then anything between that and that, like
that's got some like Art Deco, you know, like that. Yeah. Just
like two little blisters, like little bubbles.
Okay. Off the side. We'll make this plate. We'll tack this up. You wire that side, I'll wire this side.
See what one comes out better. We might even just do
They might just do the same.
You can't say both at the same time. Oh no, this one's too narrow. You could, but hey, I'm in with the asymmetrical. I like asymmetrical stuff. So we could just do one on one side, and that one could have the. If yours is bigger, we'll put the reservoir for the radiator. Yeah. Could put a cowl light or something. It needs one light.
Okay, man. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's start with that. Let's get this. We'll cut this on the CNC just because it's dead easy.
Yep.
And then we'll tack this and start.
And I'll convert mils to inches for you.
Yeah. 23 5/8. 3 point.
For those of you that don't know, he is a computer genius.
No. Yeah, right. I'm like, meh.
All right, so we'll go like that.
Ooh, we should have put a center on there. A center.
596.
596?
596.
What the hell does that mean?
That's the millimeters.
Oh my god.
That's what we're working in. Well, if you weren't doing 596.
Here, what does my calculator say?
23 and a half.
There you go.
What's half of 23 and a half?
That would be 11 3/4.
11 3/4.
What is that in mils though?
596. I'm not using a calculator.
No, you're just checking your Instagram.
298. See how accurate it is?
Well, you could have just looked here and gone What do you say, Roscoe? Hey, bud?
That's it. Kind of feel like this is working, but I probably should have done an upright one beforehand, but
Ooh, you definitely should have done an upright one beforehand.
not like it flows like quite nicely from like kind of steep, then it pulls in and then kind of goes flat.
Yeah. That's a nice shape, Ben. I really like that.
Don't be nice.
Okay, you suck at it.
I was thinking I could put
This
what like
this is all flat though. It comes flat there.
yeah, probably right. I was kind of thinking maybe the more prominent bubble in that than this.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's the face, then it pulls
Yeah.
in quite tight,
Yeah.
and then kind of gradually
Yep.
comes back up.
Cool beans.
Maybe.
Cool beans.
Maybe I'm just saying that because beans.
Well, you definitely nailed it on those curves, man, with being able to put that straight piece in and touched all of them.
That was a fluke. Very honest. All right, so right side of the wire back, relatively completed. Pretty happy with the profile of the way it kind of falls off the top of the grill. And then we kind of have a nice little blister that's kind of coming down and shrinking up into the bit here. We're now just going to take some paper, make a paper template. We'll lay that out onto a sheet of steel, cut our pattern, and we will start to use Carl's planishing hammer, which I'm excited to try out and hopefully be taking one home with me. So let's get into it.
I would just tape this, like just put tape kind of all over it, and then we'll kind of roll it over and tape your bars to it.
With that, you reckon that's enough material to leave?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like your paper template's going to be so accurate that you're going to cut it like right to that piece.
Oh, really? Should we leave a bit of material though, where we want to bead roll and put it in?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, that is the back side for the bead roll.
Yeah.
Or no, this is the side for the bead roll.
That's the bead. But yep.
This is the bead side.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely not a crazy complex.
No, actually leave the tape off of that for now, because like that'll show us how much shrink we'll have there. Yeah.
And this is just regular like poster paper, huh?
Yeah.
Or, the whatever you call it.
Yeah, the thinner the better. Like some guys use like even like tissue paper, like the see-through stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Because like it'll wrinkle for the slightest change.
Oh, slightest change. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You can go to really see whether it's loose or not. Mark it all the way around with a Sharpie or some kind of writing implement. What you like to do is, there you go, is when we flip it over, you'll be able to actually like crease with your fingernails like a couple little wrinkles. And that's like your shrinks basically.
So this I'm going to run a line accurately right around. Yeah.
And we'll cut right to that. We don't need to leave extra material on our paper. We can add that extra material
on the
metal.
Right, right.
And grab your razor blade for trimming.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can razor it.
So I'll take it.
Yeah, maybe you can flip it over right there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why we even marked it, to be honest. There's not a ton of shape in it, so there's not going to be a terrible amount of wrinkles to show us. But basically, when we're making a paper template like this is showing us it's pretty flat. There might be slight variations here just because we had a couple that were a little bit
high and low. Yeah.
But right where any of these wrinkles are, like basically you're going to pinch a little wrinkle until this edge does touch down.
Yeah.
And then that's literally exactly where you're going to shrink. Like if you were to use a thumbnail shrinker, you would stick it in right until the end of that exact wrinkle.
Where you've creased it.
And pull it out and not go any farther, because the rest of it will just, like you'll be able to relax it with either the planishing hammer or whatever.
Right.
So there's probably, if you were to shrink, you would probably end up shrinking just a little bit right here. If you're to do it with all stretch, you'd probably only be really stretching here. This is all going to be form. That's kind of the only real shape that panel truly has, other than when we tip this edge, we'll probably have to stretch the edge a little bit to get the flange where you want it.
To get the flange, yeah.
So you could probably tape now like the edge here in a couple spots so that when you're pulling your shrinks.
On the right spot.
Yeah. That's
the high and low.
That's all
right?
it is, yeah. So that little pucker is literally all it is. So you could probably only do one wrinkle. It's such a shallow curve that it's just one wrinkle. And when it's this shallow, it's so hard to even wrinkle it. Sometimes you just take a razor blade, slice it, and just let it overlap.
Oh yeah.
And that will show you the same thing. Like, yeah, I don't even know if you need to slice that far.
That far?
Right there, maybe.
Something like that.
That's literally all it is. Like you almost took the wedge out of it already. And then if you were to slice right in there, you would see when you put it flat again, the wedge, and that's exactly how much material you need to shrink.
Right. Oh, so that's giving you that cutout. And
yeah,
that's
like
the material.
Exactly.
So I would cut it?
Yeah, I sometimes do. Like some guys will leave it taped up as a pattern, like just tape it across there.
Yeah.
So that you can actually put it right on the panel. Now you know exactly how much there is in there.
Yeah.
And if you like, you could tape across it. There's two ways to really do it. You could, like with this, you could just put it flat on the panel, mark your little pie out of it, and that's just your line. Like you know you've got to do there, and you can keep checking it. But if you were to use this pattern without the wire buck, you could tape across this and check the paper rate on your piece.
Oh, so you could keep it, have that form, you could tape it.
Right, like if this wired buck was not removable from your panel, then this template could be your buck, be like your flexible shape, because you'd be able to set it onto the metal and see whether or not it touches all the way around to know whether or not you have enough crown right there.
Right.
But I think as of right now, since you've got the wire buck to check it, you don't really need to do that. So now this is just a perimeter template for you, and you've got a mark as to where you would put a shrink in. If I was to make this, I think like you could do it all on the English wheel, or you could use a kick shrinker and a planishing hammer. You could use like all sorts of different ways to do it. But because we've got this nice little thumbnail in there, if you want to give the Swiss hammer a try, you could
one pass.
Do a couple of quick little shrinks in there, real quick, and then smooth it out with the planishing hammer, and I think that that'll probably be all it really needs. So you can pull that off and then trace it onto your piece, add whatever extra bit you need around the edge. Like if you're gonna step flange this for the hood, or if you're gonna weld that piece on later. And then to add a 1/2 inch for the flange to weld into your shelf.
Should I make it even, as far as just like this too?
What I want to know is, what are you planning on doing back here? Are you going to break the edge?
Would be nice.
It would be nice too, right?
Yeah, so there's probably enough material there to break it. All right, so we just put it in the shrinker, and now we've got basically the profile of the top of the back sorted. So this will sit like that. The cowl side should kind of go in here ultimately after we double break this, but I might add that later. Haven't got that far yet, so we're just trying to get the top curve basically put in, and that lined up is pretty darn close.
100% good enough.
100% good enough. All right, so I was gonna do the old bend over the thigh, which we still can, but I wanna use the wheel just to show you that you can get that shape. I am gonna use the rubber band, or some guys use inner tubes. This one's from Trick Tools, so it's actually made and designed for the upper wheel. And what that's gonna do is only give us two-dimensional shape, which is exactly what we want through here, is just to get that contour that we're after that's gonna try and fit the front of that grill. So we're gonna roll this on and then give it a few passes and see if we can get a little bit of shape into this.
So whatever, I'm just gonna add to Jordan's, whatever radius you've got on your lower anvil is what will directly press into the rubber and give you that radius. So he can choose whatever radius it is, and if it's a radius that's changing, you can also swap dies while you're doing it to go harsher.
Does this usually slide off sometimes?
Yep, so if you press too hard, it'll slide off. So the trick is with these is just not to go too hard. And they will kind of walk a little bit. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. And kind of pick the right one. There you go. So it definitely won't curve it more than that. Give yourself maybe a couple marks on it just to see where to start the roll. Because it's gonna, like, those track marks will go away on this because it's like the right radius for that.
Right.
But it'll make like little sharper marks. Probably doesn't need. You could change the wheel for over there because it's shallower.
Okay. I need to try and get more form in kind of right up here, right?
Yeah. And after we can always come back to this as well. Like, this is a good start to get it in there.
Yeah.
And we could always get a tuck done in here.
Yeah.
And check it and see where we're at, and it'll make this want to curve more because right now you're fighting this and this.
Yeah.
And that's creating this tension spot right there.
Right.
So if we go to the hammer and get a tuck and play with it a bit, we can always come back and tune up with the wheel.
Okay. Yeah, definitely looks like it wants, this area needs to
exactly, it wants
get
it
shrunken in. Yeah, so you're kind of fighting yourself, like you said.
Ooh, it's looking good though.
The Mick twist. It's different. Might work. Might not.
Maybe might. So basically what Jordan's gonna do here, he's gonna run this, hold on, let me spit it. This thumbnail, he's gonna run his panel in right until the end of his mark, because our paper showed that the end of that mark is the end of the shrinking that needs to happen for his panel to lay onto his buck. So we're gonna go right to there, come out with it, and then do another couple of shrinks here. That's what's called stack shrinking, because if you can picture it, this is what you're trying to do, and there's more space at the end than there is at the beginning. So it's almost like a tapered shrink. So there needs to be more metal shrunk at the end. That's stack shrinking. So he's gonna run that through. He's gonna shrink it once deep, and then maybe 2 or 3 times a little bit shallower. And then we're gonna smooth it out and try it on his buck to see if it needs more of the shrinking.
All right, moment of truth. How to screw up a panel. Very easily. Okay, that was all the way into the line. So now I need to get these shrunken in a bit more. Well, it's probably a bit harsh, that one, but...
Ah, you're all right. You shrunk more than you thought.
Probably shrunk more than I thought.
That's pretty good though. You're gonna be fine.
Yep, sweet. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small ones. So I probably only needed to do like 2, maybe 3.
Well, yeah, we'll find out once we planish her out.
Hammer.
Let's have a look though. Let's see. Beautiful.
As a shrinking die, this thing does very quick work.
At its sharpest point, it's a 6. You know, it fades out to about probably a 9. Seven. 12 probably.
WD. Probably enough.
Yep.
So, any hot tips?
Just have at her, man.
And try and just stay in this area?
Yeah, like the, I would smooth this out first, and then you'll probably run a little bit into here.
Yeah.
Right now this is set on its lowest setting, so once you put the panel in, we'll kind of like step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like uncork that until it's given her.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Okay, so we're on minimum now.
Yeah.
Minimum velocity.
Hit your high spots first, like try and knock those guys down.
Okay. Wow.
1 minute and 50 seconds. And how does she look?
Unreal. It's definitely, I mean, it's taken so much of the shrinking out.
Looking good. I wonder how she is on your panel.
Not enough.
Really?
No.
Look at that. Not quite enough. There's a lot of shape in that panel.
More than I think what maybe we both thought.
Yeah, like up here is looking pretty good. I think that maybe you could go back and wheel it a little bit or bend it over your knee to orientate this over.
Yeah.
Then your pucker will happen here again and you'll be able to pull a little bit out.
Like it almost. Another option other than the English wheel.
It's the new wheel.
Couple hits on the old leg.
Yeah.
All right. So we've done one pass through the Shape-O-Matic, one pass through the planishing hammer, and I've just went back to the English wheel just in order to try and get the profile right. And I'm getting close. I think I need to shrink a little bit more in this area. From the paper template, it actually has a little bit more shape than I think I thought, and maybe Carl thought as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'll go back in here, I'll add a few more shrinks back to the planishing hammer, smooth them off, put it back over top of the wire buck, and see how far we can get. So we'll go back to the power hammer. So that was one pass back out, and then I'll try and maybe do 3 small ones this time. Yeah, that definitely moved a fair bit. I think that pulled a fair bit in. Get on to You actually notice it with a bit of that oil on it, eh? Mm-hmm. Just kind of likes to... Is there any way you do it different on that, the way I was kind of doing it?
Like using the planishing hammer?
Yeah.
No, not really.
No.
When you're planishing, it's if you're not using so much pressure that you're stretching, you're not really worried about it because you're just planishing. You're just planishing. You're just smoothing. So it's not.
You know how you're saying you set this up where they touch and you give it a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you're to give it a bit more, that's when it's going to start to stretch.
When you give it too much air pressure.
Too much air pressure.
Because no matter how much pressure you give it with that, it's going to get more pressure from the hammer. Right?
Yeah.
From the shock of the hammer.
And is there like a rule of thumb for PSI?
I don't really think there is, because it's probably different on all kinds of hammers. For me, I just like to feel it out. Like if it's doing its job, then you're fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So let's have a look at her. There's still a bit to go, for sure. I don't know that you have to go in so much.
Okay.
Like I think now, well, let's feel it. Like you've got quite a bit happening right there. Maybe I would do a tuck right there and on either side of yours. Did you go in deep here?
No, shallow.
Shallow. Yeah, maybe give it like another shrink there and another shrink there.
So do one there and one there, kind of same length.
Yeah, it definitely needs one over here because it was out a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe just start with like the same depth as that one, but just over here.
And then do maybe 3 small ones around it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, as you're pulling it out, you can almost relax on this a little bit.
Okay.
Because like you're using more power when you're further in than when you're coming out.
Right.
So if you're on your way out, you've got kind of a little bit too much power, it could be stretching it back out a little.
Right.
So
yeah,
you can sort of throttle it as you go.
Because then you're kind of just going against yourself, aren't
you?
A
little bit. You could be fighting yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Because that's what that would be, right? That's a bit of...
Yeah, it's a bit extra.
Yeah. Bit of stretch.
A little bit of stretch.
So...
Yeah, maybe give it like one... There's a little pucker there. Maybe just smooth that one little pucker out.
And then with this one, I don't need to go too far out.
Well, you can smooth it out because you've got a little bit of, feel that? There's a little bit of a hump there.
Yeah.
So by planishing it, you're kind of spreading that out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of a ski jump happening in the panel here of stress. So it's kind of messing up the way that the buck sits inside of there. So we're going to take care of that just with a little bit of hand hammering.
When you look at it, you can kind of see like that almost wants to come in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But So now when you look at it, see how like right here is high?
Mm-hmm. Well, you'll be able to push that, just orientate it a little bit by stepping on it, like get it as close as you can, and then now we can get an accurate reading on the panel.
Okay, let's try that.
There you go. Dude, look at that.
Wow.
Ah, it's getting closer.
Getting closer.
I think it's like just about, you know, ready to almost fit stuff. And we got to take care of this we were talking about.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a curve in there, so we're going to need to shrink a little bit of that. But dang, look at that panel.
One side. Only to have to repeat it.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part. Making one is easy. Trying to replicate it, not easy.
So while he's doing that, what he's doing is making sure that all the form that is in it, and by form we mean, you know, no shrink, no stretch. This is just two-dimensional things that are happening. You must have that all orientated as good as you can get it for you to check your wire buck so you can accurately see what it really needs. And what this is going to need a little bit of is just a bit of a shrink in the bottom here. See, it's touching there, and then it's just got a little bit of curve here. That is the design. So to get that curve into there, I have to shrink a little bit.
Should I do it on the scary hammer?
It's not scary.
No, it's kind of scary.
I would do like, you know, a solid shrink, probably inch and a bit, because like your panel ends here.
Yeah.
Right? So, or yeah, like this is just extra that's going to be trimmed off.
Oh yeah, right.
Right?
Okay,
So you're going to want to go like maybe even into there.
Okay.
You know?
So one into that, and then maybe two.
You know what?
3.
Yeah, I'd even go maybe
2.
It's quite a bit, yeah. Maybe 2 into there. Give her the old planish.
Vanish!
See where you're at. You can throttle it a little more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you see that it's not hammering it down, it needs more.
Okay.
And when you're in that deep, the hammer needs to be harder. Like
Harder
the deeper you're in,
smoother.
yeah, like when you're throttling it, like the further your panel goes in, you're pushing down on your foot more.
Okay.
And then you're kind of easing off as you come off.
That's a really nice one.
Looking beauty.
Kind of worked.
Yeah, I would, do your little guys, because you got crinkles here, but you did go in pretty deep.
Crinkle cut.
Yeah.
Good chips.
Yeah.
Good hot chips. French fries.
Beauty.
That was a bit better.
Beauty. She's a beauty. Let's just see what this radius is, if it's a different radius than up there. Then we'll change the die.
So we use the old Clip-On's radius tool. Darn, that's close.
Okay, so if this one's really close, then it'll probably be the one right above it. So what's that? Shiksa?
6.
So we will use radius 7.
A 7.
Oh, it's rising.
I guess I'm gonna be really good at doing this over time. So that was a 6 that we were using, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But we need a little bit more.
A little shallower.
So it's touching.
Yeah, and then I just give it a little something. Yep.
All right, so.
Yep. And then this should be able to curve down a bit. I'd maybe just run it in the hammer and pull it so that this metal comes down a little bit. Because that's what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
Got a bit of a curve in her.
A little bit. I wonder if that's probably not from too much stretching. Hey, just that bit there.
Yeah, I just pull it down even more there, like just arrange the panel a little bit.
Arrange the panel.
Yeah. So since this had an extra little curve in the end there, which we needed to put in here, Jordan did have to do a couple of shrinks in here. Actually, I think 3 deep shrinks and then a bunch of smaller shrinks. So it's a little bit of stack shrinking in that bottom area to get the proper crown here. Took a little bit more shrinking than we originally anticipated because we've got a little bit of extra material that we left off here to tip the body line into it. So it did take a few stacks to get in there, but as you can see now, this is fitting wonderfully. Like, we are nice and close all the way around. Just using the thumbnail shrinking dies on the Shape-O-Matic and using the old planishing hammer with a couple of different radiuses. Check those radiuses with the gauge, chose the appropriate lower anvil, and away we went. So yeah, this piece is looking really good. Jordan's killing it! Oh, the fit. So basically, knowing that this wire buck fits perfectly to what we were trying to make against the grill, as Carl has said as well, that this is the size. The outside of this is exactly what we want. So our tip is going to be exactly on this line. The bottom of this will be exactly trimmed along the bottom there. So what I'm going to do is trace out on the outside of this wire buck. That'll be our tip line. I'll cut this off and then we'll fit it to the grill and see what it'll actually look like. So now is what I was saying, rather than doing the tape trick, you would just go like this, with something and just go like that. But the tape trick does the exact same thing, and it's probably quicker. Tape is your friend.
So we got a bit of form starting to happen there. So we'll just run over and test it on the grill. Okay, so right in that area. Kind of gonna go everywhere a little bit. And I reckon it's gonna have to still need a little bit of shrink. But nice! Alright, moment of truth. Oh wow. Holy. That line's gonna go into nothing, eh? Yeah. It's gonna end like here, which is also extremely cool. So day 2 is a wrap, and I'm more wrapped about the way that this has turned out. You know, you vision something in your head, you don't exactly know what it's gonna look like, or if it's, you know, if we can manipulate the metal enough to be able to make it work. We have, it was a success. You know, we had originally started out with this buck, a little bit different kind of shape that we had wanted, maybe not so much shape, a little bit less. And I came in, had a bit of a change of heart, couldn't sleep, wanted to finish it, ended up making this one here that just fit really nice, kind of what we were trying to achieve with the shape and trying to bring it out to the edge of the frame rails. So then we transferred that into the actual, basically it's a sail panel. Literally it looks like it's got a bit of wind in the sail. So this is, after many hours of all the machines, the Sosa, hammer, Carl's incredibly nice planishing hammer, the bead roller, the English wheel, the shrinker, the stretcher. It was cool. We got to use a variety of different tools today and successfully was able to basically 90% finish one side of this grill. So that's a wrap. Part 3 is coming soon. Other side, finish, metal finish. Want more? Maybe a little fun idea we have for the center for the grill. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notifications, and we'll see you guys soon.